All right, and the couple extra pieces of information we need are descriptive statistics for, let's see, how old our participants were, as well as, I think it makes sense in this case, given the fact that the authors of the study were replicating used it as a predictor. I think it's useful for us to also report, generally, what's the political orientation of our participants. So let's focus on getting the descriptive statistics for age first. So let's write a note about that, descriptive stats for age. And what we're going to do here is use a command from the psych package that we loaded earlier. And that command is called describe, which is a very handy command that will give us a bunch of descriptive stats. What we're most interested in are the mean and the standard deviation for age in years. So we'll open up parentheses here so that we can tell the describe command, the describe function, I guess I should say, which variable we want to describe. And the variable is age, which is in the data object. And you now know that we use a $sign to tell it that we want a variable within that object, and that variable is age. So that's the full command. I'm going to put the cursor at the end of the line here and hit Control Enter, and it will give us the descriptive stats, which you can see here at the bottom. You can also see that I already ran them once before, but shh, that's okay. I recorded this and didn't record the screen, so I have to re-record it. Oh well. Anyway, so here are the descriptive statistics for age. We have, in this subsample, 100 people. The mean age of those 100 people is 18.66 years with a standard deviation of 2.31. That's what you would report in your empirical report. Of course, remember that these numbers are not the same numbers that you'll report in your empirical report, because this is just a subset of our participants. But if I were writing a report based on these 100 people, those are the numbers I would report. You can see there's a lot of other information here, including it telling us that the minimum age was 18, which is good because we were looking to recruit adults only. And the maximum age in this subset was age 40. All right, great. So we have what we need for descriptive stats for age. I'm going to just get rid of that little extra S there. And now let's do the same thing, but for political orientation. So I'm going to copy the two lines we used to get that information for age and paste them down here. And I'm just going to update that so that it accurately reflects what we're going to work on now, which is political orientation. So we're now going to use the describe command again. Again, our variable is in the data object, and the variable name is now not age, but ideology. And so if I run that command by hitting Control Enter, we can see this descriptive statistics for political orientation. Remember, this was a maximum range of 1 to 7, where 1 was very liberal, and 7 is very conservative. And here in this sample of, in fact, 99 people, apparently one person didn't provide political orientation information. We have a mean on that 7-point scale of 2.45 and a standard deviation of 1.15. So those are the values that you would report in the participant subsection of your empirical report for the method, if in fact these were the people that you're going to report the numbers for. Of course, these numbers are not accurate for the reasons I've said now a couple times. We also can see that the minimum ideology value, which was a value of 1, which corresponds to very liberal, and there was a maximum value of 6, which corresponds to conservative, not very conservative, but conservative. And of course, there's other information here, but like I said, for age, you don't need to report this other descriptive information in your empirical report. Okay, so actually, technically we're done. I'm going to go ahead and click Save here in the script. It's always a good idea to click Save often as you're working on a script so that you don't lose your work in case something happens. But before I close this out, I am going to do one more thing, which is an extra. So I'm just going to scroll on down here and add a comment to say extra. No need to report this in your method. But I think it would be actually helpful to visualize a little bit some of the information we've collected about participants. So in particular, I'm going to demonstrate a frequency distribution for the continuous variables. Those continuous variables are age and ideology. And that might give us a sense of what's the lay of the land with respect to age, beyond what we could see in the descriptive statistics that you could see in the console. So it's very easy in R to generate a frequency distribution. We're going to use the hist function, open parentheses, and we want to tell it we want to see, I should say, a frequency distribution for the variable age. And when I run this command by hitting Control Enter, you'll see a plot appear in the right side of the screen in the plots window. And indeed, we have a range of values showing here on the x-axis of 20 to 40 years old. On the y-axis, sorry, did I just say y-axis down here? This is x-axis. If I said y, I meant x. And on the y-axis is the number of people at each of the various ages that are reflected on the x-axis. So you can see pretty clearly that most of our sample is on the very younger side of the scale. So that's useful information. Let's do the same thing, but this time let's visualize, let's see, we'll get a frequency distribution for political orientation. And we'll do the same thing with the hist command, which is the data object. And this variable is called ideology. Oops, I misspelled it, but that's okay because I can just hit enter because it's trying to tell me this is the way you actually spell that, Uri. And now that I've got that hist command for political orientation, I can run it by hitting Control Enter. And we now see a frequency distribution of the ideology variable, which maximum possible range was 1 to 7. Here we see values of 1 to 6 because we didn't have anybody that reported a 7. We can see the number of people on the y-axis, and just looking at this, you can see that most of the people in this sample, in this subsample of 100 people that we studied, are clustered over here on the left side of the scale. Left side of the scale is actually an accurate descriptor in this case because the left side of the scale is actually the very liberal to liberal side of the scale. And there's fewer people on the right side of the scale, which would be the conservative side of the scale. So yeah, that's handy to see kind of a broader view of what age and political orientation looks like. And I think that's it. I am going to just do one more thing over here, which I realize now that I forgot to do above. And it's always a good idea to comment every command. Your future self will thank you. It also helps you sort of keep your brain clear as to what you're doing and why at every step of the way. But I forgot to add a comment for this frequency distribution command for age. So I'm just going to add one now. So I copied the one below. I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to change the political orientation word to age instead, because that's what the next command does. Okay, now I think we're truly done. I'm going to hit the save button to again save the script. We've now gone through everything that you need in theory, although these values, of course, are not the same values that you're going to report, but we've gone through the steps that you can take to generate the descriptive statistics that you'll need for the method section of your empirical report, adequate to describe the participants that we studied. I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, you should, as always, feel free to pop them in Piazza so that other people can see them and can also benefit from the answer to your question. You're probably not alone in the questions that you have. And otherwise, yeah, you're going to be doing this during Lab 6, and it's possible your TA will be walking you through these steps. If not, then you're seeing this video during lab. Hello, hi. And I guess that concludes it. I hope that you were able to follow along and generate the information you need about participant characteristics so that you can write your method. And with that, I guess I will log off and say adios. Good luck with your own adventures in R.